Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar presentation, Live Demo, See the Strongest Offering for iPaaS and Hybrid Integration, brought to you by Software AG. I'd like to introduce you to our presenter, Paul Fisher. Paul is Software AG's product manager for the top-rated web methods integration platform, the only platform rated a leader for hybrid cloud integration, API management, and B2B.
Well, thanks for that. And just take a minute to say thank you for taking time out of your day. Welcome to our broadcast here. I'd like to show you today how we're rated the strongest offering for our iPaaS and hybrid integration by taking you through a hands-on demo of our SaaS offering. But first, a little bit more information about Software AG in general. So Software AG, as many of you might not know, has been around for 50 years. We just celebrated our recent birthday. And we've been consistently recognized as the customer-centric leader in many of the innovative and digital technology categories, primarily on-premises and also now in the cloud. Additionally, we have around 480,000 employees distributed globally, and we cite over 70% of the global top 1,000 companies as customers. Here's a little list here. Those customers include well over 2 million developers at leading organizations who have adopted our Software AG products. This includes API management, B2B integration, and a lot of our integration development tools and ecosystem, which they use to innovate, build innovative solutions, build applications across industry, across private sector and public sectors. And a lot of these customers rely on Software AG to help them continue their journey into digital transformation. So that's a little bit about us. I want to move over now to our Web Methods IO iPaaS, which I'll be demoing today. I want to introduce this topic to you. We recently came out with this new branding of Web Methods IO iPaaS, and it's our umbrella term for a suite or a stack of products that we have in the cloud. Those modules include API, B2B, our integration and iPaaS layer, as well as IoT. This is a multi-function iPaaS with each module. And what I really love about our iPaaS is its ability to sort of grow as you grow. So a lot of our customers start with integration use cases. And as they move into enabling APIs with partners or building more experienced APIs, they start to bring in our API module for partner transaction and partner management. We'll see a lot of customers start to bring in then B2B. And for unlocking a lot of IoT device data to power nice analytics or dashboards, our iPaaS can grow as you grow, and we can start to include our IoT module. All these modules together form our Web Methods IO iPaaS. And it gives you a lot of control over developing complex integration projects. Today I'll be demoing this component here along with our IoT module. So I'll be showing the integration component of our iPaaS as well as IoT. When I look at our iPaaS overall, it's really the bedrock for your digital transformation. We have three main goals for our customers who are transitioning to the cloud and want to leverage a lot of our cloud-first tooling. The first objective is to integrate everything. So you'll find with our iPaaS that we integrate applications both between SaaS services and on premises. These can be applications that run your sales organization, marketing organization, as well as databases or different types of data sources. Of course, with our IoT module, we cover a lot of device connectivity, including sensors like temperature sensors. So our goal is to have pervasive connectivity so that you can walk into any integration project and feel confident that we have some out-of-the-box connectors to get you jump-started on this, this integration development. And this integration, everywhere mantra also pertains to different deployment options. So where these applications live via on the cloud, on the edge, or maybe on premises in your own data center. We really want to be the bridge between applications and where these applications live. So that's sort of our mantra around integrating everything. Up next, we have this ability to build APIs and microservices-driven architecture. So as you come to the cloud and want to take advantage of a microservices-based architecture where your architecture is scaling both horizontally and vertically, our iPaaS lets you take advantage of these new paradigms by developing APIs and microservices to reduce the time it takes to build application development and connectivity. So we have incorporated a lot of these new paradigms so that you can lead an API-led digital strategy. And then finally, our third goal of our iPaaS offering is to infuse intelligence. So I think you'll find with this demo today, developers can be incredibly productive with cloud tooling. As we transitioned a lot of our on-premises portfolio into the cloud, we took a lot of time to simplify the user experience and bring in a nice productivity boost for developers. We take care of a lot of the heavy lifting for you as far as integration projects go. So we like to take our iPaaS platform and start to extend it to new audiences in your organization. We find that most IT shops that we work with have large integration backlogs, and one of the benefits of using our iPaaS is to start to distribute these projects across the organization. I think you'll find in the demo today it's incredibly easy for a developer to onboard onto our iPaaS, and maybe not with a whole lot of coding background, you can be pretty productive in building simple orchestrations between two systems. So you want to start to infuse a lot of your best practices and knowledge and really unlock your developers internally at your organization, as well as starting to bring more predictive analytics as far as AI and machine learning, so that we can all kind of build these integration processes a lot faster, things like smart mappers or suggesting where to integrate sort of next. These are some of the ways we can infuse intelligence both from machines and people to make our iPaaS offering incredibly productive for your organization. So that's a little bit of a look at our goals as we move into iPaaS. WebMethods IO integration, that kind of middle layer which I was showing you in that slide earlier, was launched in April. And this is our Node.JS based iPaaS, which has a lot of really great features. We've taken the best of our integration cloud and the best of our Built.io acquisition last fall. We've combined them into a single offering. And I think you'll find that the UI is incredibly easy to use and to build these complex integrations and flows. We have a large number of connectors in this sort of toolkit, which I'll show. And it just makes development easy for both APIs and integration projects. So I'd like to kind of start moving us in the product demo direction, but first, just a couple more slides here. I wanted to welcome you to our ecosystem. As a part of, if you're interested in kind of this demo today and sort of moving forward and getting your hands physically on our products, I'd recommend you go to SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD. And this is really our ecosystem for all of our cloud products, including our iPaaS, which I'll be showing today. One of the advantages here of our SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD is that you can come to this sort of resource, and we have a lot of great documentation, use cases, FAQs, guides, for a lot of self-driven discovery around our iPaaS. We want to really make sure that you're successful in setting up your first integration project. So there's a lot of great documentation here and resources and ways to connect with our team to make sure that we're best supporting you as you come to iPaaS. Additionally, it's a great place to start for your organization. When you sign up for an account with SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD, you're given a tenant, and this tenant has sort of central user management across all of our products. So it's just one place that you sign up, and as you want to try our API features or our B2B features or our IoT features, this is just your one account, one tenant for the organization to try all of our cloud technology, all of our iPaaS technology. And that really grows as your organization grows. As you build more use cases, you can onboard these users really easily, and they get access to all of our suite of products. We do that via this nice app switcher experience at the top right of the app. You can jump between all these products really easily thanks to this SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD and this single sign-on capability. So this is a really great place to start. I encourage you to come to SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD to kind of sign up if you're interested after this demo of sort of trying more. If you're interested in trying more. Okay, so for the demo today, I'd like to show you our IoT integration with Cumulocity. We use Cumulocity for all of our device connectivity. For this scenario, I'd like you to envision me as a service operator of a fleet of windmills. Now, I can't go to every windmill individually to kind of service these. Maybe I'd like to be notified should some of my monitoring tell me to go service this request. So let's envision a scenario where on this windmill, there's a temperature sensor, and this temperature sensor is just increasing in temperature really rapidly. I'd like to take that alarm data and notify my field service representatives as a ticket to go service this sort of out of control windmill. So for this scenario, here's a little architecture diagram which kind of says the same thing. We're going to emulate this IoT device, this windmill. I'm going to send an event to Cumulocity, which will transfer it into an alarm. Our WebMethods.io integration, or our iPaaS layer, will listen in real time for this alert. And I'm going to sync that data with cloud applications and extend it from there. So this is our sort of real-time demo that we'll be going through today. So let's move now back into the demo, and I'll show you my setup. Okay, so here I'm, let's go ahead and move over to WebMethods.io integration. So I've logged into the tenant, I've created an account on SoftwareAG, I've selected the products I'd like to sort of trial, one of which is our WebMethods.io integration, and I've logged into this particular application for my tenant. And this is just my demo tenant here. So I'd like to kind of survey for you generally the features that we have in our iPaaS and in combination with this windmill demo that we have. So when I come to WebMethods.io integration, I'm brought to the projects screen. Projects is a collection of workflows. We use projects as a great way to organize around specific initiatives that you might have in your company. So in a specific company, you might have a Salesforce integration, maybe a Marketo integration, and we use projects as a way of organizing your workflows by initiatives. So these are our sort of projects that we have listed out here. And if I drill into a specific project, I'm brought to a list of all the workflows within a given project. So I have these 3 workflows here defined as cards. And I can easily create a new workflow, either from scratch, or you can use one of our existing pre-built recipes. You can think of a recipe as sort of a blueprint to get you started in a workflow. We took all of our best practices in working with customers, and we've operationalized and tested those and generalized these recipes that we deploy to all of our tenants. So this is a really great way to get started with a lot of common use cases that we see in enterprises. It gives you a nice sort of baseline that you can kind of grow and adapt to your use cases from there. So these are 2 modes of creating a workflow. I'm going to move into a workflow I've created already called IoT device escalation. I'm going to go ahead and edit that workflow. Now you're brought into our web tooling for orchestrating the movement of data between SaaS applications and on premises. We call this our workflow. You can think of it as a canvas to help orchestrate this movement of data. At the center here are my applications. This is my baseline workflow that I've created that I'd like to extend for you in this call today. On the right-hand side is more of my toolkit. You can think of this as like a tool belt for all of my connectivity needs and developer toolings so that I can walk into any sort of integration use case or challenge and have a lot of things built for me out of the box. In this way, I'm more productive in building my integration flow. Here you'll see first our list of connectors. We have over 300 connectors out of the box, which gives you a lot of operations like moving files, creating Slack channels, all sort of out of the box. It's incredibly easy to configure and get started with. So I'm going to just run for you first this basic flow before moving on to some of our sort of features. I'm pulling up now my Postman application to emulate this temperature device. So let's picture again that this windmill is flying out of control. It's getting a critical temperature. So using this kind of Postman utility, I'm going to send a message to our Cumulocity cloud. I'm going to create a new alarm, and in this alarm, I've given, let's go ahead and remove this. I've given this new alarm, I have a severity of critical and a timestamp of when this alarm has happened. So maybe this temperature sensor has gone out of control, and I'm going to send that now into Cumulocity. Now what's really fantastic about our iPaaS is it gives our developers really real-time feedback into how this workflow has operated. So you just saw the channel, you saw it move through this kind of case switch and kind of light up this path in real time. This really helps me as a developer as I start to debug and troubleshoot and build these workflows, that I can see this flow operate in real time and step through all the actions to confirm that I've built this workflow sort of properly. On the left-hand side, our journey really starts with this this trigger. To start the flow, we have this concept of triggers, and let me just show you that really quickly. If I create a new workflow and I double-click on this start button, I'm brought into our list of triggers. So we have many out of the box. Should your source application support real-time APIs, we will actually listen for events based on this source sort of trigger and kick off the workflow automatically. This is a really powerful technique to move around data in real time. But in the event that your source application doesn't have these real-time APIs, we also have a polling mechanism which will check at an interval for any changes in the records, which will then trigger this workflow. We have really nice support for just scheduling your workflow to run without sort of listening. So you can set a date and time and the frequency that you'd like this workflow to run really easily. We also have support for webhooks. So we build for you a predefined endpoint that if you were to post a payload to this endpoint, which we define here, and authorize that API, then you can kick off this workflow really easily. So this is one way that you can get stood up with a RESTful API in just a couple clicks via this webhooks function. So our trigger service is here. It's incredibly powerful for you to take advantage of and really move data around in near real time. With that trigger in place, we can start to come now into the workflow itself. So I'm coming back to my IoT device. I've configured this trigger already to connect to my Cumulocity account using my production account, and it's listening on a specific device ID for alarms. Once I receive an alarm, I move into this switch block, which has a simple case statement. In the event that my severity of this trigger matches critical, go ahead and run this specific connection case operation. And in the event that it's major, it'll send me an SMS. And for all other cases, let's go ahead and notify me via email. Should the trigger come through with a critical severity, it will create a case for me in my Freshdesk account. Now, in the event that one of these applications fail, we have a utility called a global error handler, which will be triggered should I have a configuration error or this application is down. And in effect, that will run its own sort of workflow which will notify my team that maybe there was an error here, and I can go and take care of that. So this is my very simple SaaS integration use case, and let's go ahead and extend this further to give my service department more operational ammo. So here in my kind of critical path, I create a ticket. What if I want to create maybe a Slack notification as well? So not only do I get a ticket, but I'd like to notify my Slack team of this particular message. I can search for our out-of-the-box Slack connector. And I drag that onto the palette like so, and I drop it onto here. And we really try to do a lot of the wiring for you out of the box if you've selected a previous step. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, let's keep that open. I'm going to remove this particular line here. So we have Slack, and let's grab my email as well. I'd like to maybe notify myself via email of this critical ticket. And then I'll terminate this response here. So I've searched for specific connectors. I've dragged and dropped it onto the palette. Now configuring an operation for this particular account is really straightforward. I'll just double click this connector here, and you're brought through our really nice UI for managing and configuring your connectors to different your connections to different applications. So here I'll select an action or an operation. We have a lot of actions out of the box. In this case, for this Slack channel, I'd like to post a message to this specific channel. And then I can quickly authorize that account like so. What's really great is these connectors support OAuth. So if I'm logged into this account already, it will pick up my credentials and authorize our iPaaS to write basic CRUD operations onto your application. So if that source application supports OAuth, it makes signing up and creating the account here incredibly easy to authorize our iPaaS as that user that you're currently signed into in the application. So here I have the account already created. And when I come to this next screen, we're brought into our user interface for mapping. On the left-hand side is all of our incoming data, which has access to all of the steps in the steps prior to this Slack message channel. So you'll see here I have access to all of our pipeline from the ticket creation to the alarm that was the temperature alarm that was sent. So we have access to when it was created, the severity. This is a very graphical interface for doing this kind of mapping between the incoming data and the action that I'm configuring. When we say we're a Node.JS platform, one of the areas that this surfaces in is this transformation step. So if I want to enrich or transform specific data in this step, I can go ahead and add new. And we have a lot of transformation services out of the box, like manipulating arrays, manipulating timestamps or date fields, JSON manipulation, any kind of math calculations that you're looking to perform. So just a lot of services sort of out of the box. But one area I'd like to show you here is our custom Node.js function. So there's a lot of times where our out of the box transformations only sort of get you so far. But what we open up then is this function as a service where I can now write my specific transformation function, and we will execute that code for you and host that code and basically run it for you in this particular operation. So this gives your developers a lot of great power into dropping into coding should a lot of our out-of-the-box functionality don't work for you. So it's just a really powerful tool for developer productivity. So this is one of the ways that you can drop into JavaScript development to build your own custom transformation services. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that for now. Now on the right hand side is my post a message to the Slack channel. Here is our out of the box form to do just that. Now it's asking me here, I have 2 required fields to post this message to Slack. And here I need the Slack channel name. So from my demo department in Slack, I have this device IoT escalations. So we have this service which is called the lookup service, which shows up in a dropdown and will go and will log into your application and pull the specific implementation data from your SaaS application. So this will go and look up fields. I don't have to kind of type it in word for word, and this really minimizes errors that I might make as a developer when I can just choose from a friendly dropdown here. So I'm choosing device IoT escalations as my channel. And now I come into the text of my Slack message. So I want to start to notify my support team that this temperature sensor is sort of out of control. So I'll start to write here, notification of escalation. We have created a new ticket for this service request. And here I'll come to my Freshdesk ticket sort of pipeline data here, and I'll choose the ID for this specific request. So I have the ID here. This alarm is of severity, and let's go ahead and grab my trigger alarm. I'm interested in the severity of this alarm type, and was created on this date. And here's my creation time. Okay, so this was one really easy way for me to create this mapping. I can either click and drag this over to the specific box, or I can just double click that with the cursor already in that box to move that mapping over. So this makes it really easy for integration developers to come to a single view where you can see all of your mapping, all of your transformation steps, to make sure that your incoming pipeline is matching with that operation that you're configuring here in a very sort of graphical way. So I'll go ahead and hit next. What's really great about our platform is for each application that you configure, you can go ahead and test it at each step. And we take some sample input, and we can test that operation, and you can kind of then view the resulting output from Slack. So as an integration developer, this makes it really easy for me to kind of in piecemeal put together my workflow and making sure that each component is running how I expect it to. So go ahead and hit done. Okay, so in just a couple steps, it was very easy for me to create an account, create mappings, and in no time I was able to configure this Slack operation. All of our applications really follow this same UI and paradigm. Here, I'd like to configure next my email address. So again, I can take anything from the Slack message before it or anything on the ticket. I'd like to send myself a Slack message, an email. SOFTWAREAG.com. Subject line, we have a critical alert. And this is, please see this ticket. And maybe I'll just drop in my IoT ticket, just to keep a simple use case here. Again, I can test that operation, and I'll hit done. Okay, I've nicely extended this workflow. In addition to all of these out-of-the-box connectors for SaaS applications, we have a number of developer tools to help out as well. Under developer tools, we have global error handlers, things like calling other workflows from within a workflow, our case or switch statements. One feature here I could show is the logger. So as I'm debugging or troubleshooting this workflow, I can print any message I'd like to my iPaaS sort of log. So I'll click and drag that onto the canvas. And here I'll remove this. And maybe I'm interested in the Cumulosity alarm payload, and I'll add the logger quite easily like this. Double click on this application. And again, I'm brought to this pipeline, and maybe I'm interested in taking over logging the entire message so I can really see what that JSON payload is. Go ahead and hit next, followed by done. Okay, I think I've extended this workflow a little bit better to start taking that IoT data and feeding it into more and more SaaS applications to help notify my field service reps and give them really timely information that this IoT sensor has kind of gone haywire. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And let's go ahead and let's run this workflow. So again, I'm going to bring up my Postman application, and I'm going to send off to Cumulocity a brand new alarm. Before I do that, I'm going to close out my Freshdesk tickets. Let's just clear some of my test data in here. Maybe just close my testing data. And okay, I think I'm good. I have saved the application. Let's come back to Postman and fire off this real-time event. Okay, our iPaaS platform has picked up that event from Cumulocity and triggered this workflow to run. It's run through our extended use case now in creating a ticket, creating a Slack message, and sending myself an email alert. So let's go over to Slack, and you'll see after my kind of zeroing out, we have this new message in my Slack channel, notifying my field service reps to kind of check this out. In Freshdesk, if we refresh here, we have a new critical temperature alarm that's come into the system. You'll see here I'm passing in some information already for this particular step. And in my debugger, I can now look and step through every action to see if there's any errors, that my input and output are configured properly. So here for my logger step, it's printed this whole entire message to my logs, so I can really look in to see which what attribute has what value for this specific execution request. Here's my switch statement. It's checked for this input and run this specific case. Case 1 has matched successfully. So this gives me a lot of great visibility into each step of the way, the input and output for sort of each step. This makes troubleshooting incredibly easy and kind of developer friendly. So this is how we extend an existing integration with more SaaS connectivity options, and I was able to do that in a really quick way. There's a number of ancillary services around this that help developers to be even more productive. We have things like adding notes to your workflow to help document this flow if any other developer kind of walks into that. Wants to read what this integration flow is doing. We have things like locking and unlocking of integrations to ensure that developers aren't stepping on each other's toes. Versioning is coming just in a couple weeks, so we're really excited around these software development sort of lifecycle tooling to help make this easier. The other area I'd like to show is this custom field area. So another way that we open up Node.JS or JavaScript development is through custom connectors. Now there are 2 modes of custom connectors that you can build with our iPaaS application. The first is in-app here. We call this a custom operation. And if I expand this, I have a couple examples here. But in effect, just like we gave you access to JavaScript development for a transformation, we also open up JavaScript development for a custom operation. So let's go ahead and create one here. We give you a out-of-the-box sort of template that we expect your JavaScript to sort of be in, with a input and an output, as well as the function which execute this operation. So it could be calling a RESTful API with this input and output. And we will compile that code, check for errors, and we will run it for you as a function as a service. And what's really great is these custom connectors will kind of enhance any of the out-of-the-box services that you have. that we have here, you can again drag it onto the canvas just like any other connector. And when I double click on this, again, I'm brought to these nice UI screens of accessing, setting up my account, and mapping my incoming data to this specific action. So it reads your input and your output, and it builds the UIs for you really quickly. So if you have any connectors that are going to be reused across your tenant or across your department, you can drop into JavaScript here and have a real functional connector for applications that we might not support out of the box right away. So this really opens up the possibilities of having a connector that's really meaningful to your organization. So this is our web utility for creating these JavaScript connectors. Under our docs site, we have another mode of creating connectors. So you'll see here under docs.webmethods.io, this is our CMS for all things documentation to kind of make sure that you're successful in our iPaaS. Everything from overviews, developer guides, tutorials, FAQs, we have you covered here to make sure that you're getting the most out of your iPaaS sort of setup. Under the developer guide, we have another opportunity to build custom connectors, and that's via our connector builder. We talk a little bit about the difference between our connector builder versus our custom action. But one of the advantages of the connector builder is that your development environment, all it really needs is NODE.JS installed as a prerequisite, and you can start building these sort of connectors. You'll want to download our CLI, which has a lot of great APIs to build these custom actions, to build triggers, to take advantage of our lookup service, authentication. So, you know, with very little barrier of entry, you can start to build these custom connectors using your on-premises sort of tooling. So those are two modes of creating custom connectors in our iPaaS, which I think is a very powerful feature to help highlight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this workflow and kind of exit out. Let's go ahead and exit out, save and exit for now. What did I do wrong? Oh, I configured this. Let's go ahead and save and exit. As I said, there are a number of services wrapped around our primarily our Canvas, our workflow. One of which is this capability of monitoring. So as you get into our iPaaS, you'll know it's very usage based. So we allot you a number of credits. Credit corresponds to a workflow execution. In our monitoring tab, we plot the number of total executions across time, and we give you a high-level view of your successful integrations and any sort of failed integrations. In this way, your IT team can kind of quickly come to our monitoring tab for any kind of root cause analysis on why this particular workflow has failed. We keep a number of logs as it pertains to your workflow executions. So your audit logs is a look at what activities your users have been doing in the system. So here I've updated this main demo project for this particular demo. We also go into activity logs, which shows you the success and failure for each one of the execution runs, timings, total run times, each step, with the ability to re-execute this run as well. We also have a number of alerts. In the event that something fails, if you want to monitor a particular folder or a particular workflow within that folder, I can send my team a notification via email should they fail, timeout, or complete successfully. So we have a nice little alert builder to hook in and notify your team via maybe an email distribution list of a workflow issue. So there's a lot of monitoring capabilities wrapped into our iPaaS, as well as this concept of recipes. So I've introduced the recipes at the beginning of the call as one way to kick off or build a workflow sort of project. Under recipes, we have a wide array of pre-built integration projects that you can kind of get started with. And it acts as a really great blueprint. So here's a fresh desk ticket to Slack channel. So if you want to start to reproduce what I've done sort of in the demo, you can start to use some of these recipes as a great way to kind of bootstrap you or get started. We have this really nice form-based UI to import this recipe. We kind of ask for your connection details up front before we import it, which will then take you to the Canvas screen. So all workflows can be exported and imported into your tenant. So it really helps with reusability across projects or across working groups within your particular tenant. Okay, so I hope that was a really productive sort of demo for you guys to survey a lot of our general capabilities. I'd like to kind of move back into the presentation before coming on to Q&A. If you have any questions, please definitely post it in the chat. I'll be getting to it in maybe just 10 minutes. So I've been able to show using our UI and our iPaaS, which is really optimized for ease of use, how quickly I can build a orchestration project between SaaS services and to have that data move in real time. Our platform is incredibly generalized to make sure that we can cover a wide array of use cases. So I hope you really liked it. On the hybrid integration cloud, as you know, with web methods, we have a very amazing pedigree of on-premises integration server. We use our integration server and ecosystem on-premises in building hybrid portfolios. So as you start to think about your cloud journey, you might have a lot of services that are still on-prem, and we handle those use cases really well through our hybrid cloud integration or our hybrid link. On premises, it's required to have an integration server, and this really acts as your proxy on premises to run business logic locally and maybe connect to data sources or on-premises applications like SAP, and sync that with your cloud tooling. So as I come into integration server, it's installed on premises. Here we have a Web Methods Cloud kind of area of this admin panel. You give it a username and password, and we really link the two products together for you out of the box. You're able to push specific flow services to our cloud tooling. So what this enables you to do is, on this right-hand side here, I have my Canvas, which I showed earlier. And once I upload this application to your cloud, it exists as any other connector for benefits of my SaaS orchestration. So here we have this special icon to denote a on-premises application. So if I need to go and get customers on premises to then sync with my Marketo accounts in the cloud and then Salesforce accounts in the cloud, I can easily do that thanks to our out-of-the-box hybrid connection. So this makes it really easy to orchestrate the movement of data on premises and in the cloud by using a lot of our great tooling that we have in our existing web methods ecosystem that a lot of our customers are used to. As you grow and mature in our iPaaS, we start to gain a lot of synergies, particularly around the different modules that we're also a leader in. The one use case I want to highlight here is our API-led integration. So one of the synergies we have is if you start in the integration layer, you might build your business logic here in integration, and you want to expose that via a very robust API service. And that is done through our Web Methods IO API stack, which comes with our gateway and cloud. The gateway is an incredibly powerful tool for mocking and building APIs, as well as applying a lot of great policies on top of those APIs. So there's a lot of enterprise features here, which really take your business logic and your integrations to the next level. This API layer really becomes the contract between your developers, between external applications, between system applications. And all of that execution logic is happening in our webmethods.io integration. And then, as I mentioned earlier, via that hybrid link, we use our integration server as an on-premises proxy to pull in on-premises data applications and databases via our adapters. So you have the full power of web methods on premises as well as the cloud. And we see a lot of our customers kind of shifting between, some really appreciate being sort of cloud first and they like our development environments sort of in the cloud. It's more optimized for ease of use. And for the developers who like sort of high control, they've been in our web methods ecosystem for a long time, they can still keep the tooling there with Designer in our flow services. So they really they work really well hand in hand to then power these APIs. So I definitely encourage you, as you have really complex, integration scenarios, reach out to our team, making sure that you're getting the best out of our iPaaS functionality. So you can definitely trust Software AG to have your back in a lot of complex scenarios. We're a proven leader in iPaaS, hybrid integration, API management, and B2B. And I hope you give us a chance in kind of coming with us on this journey as we go to sort of cloud and what that means for your organization. So I definitely want to encourage you to kind of head over to SOFTWAREAG.CLOUD to kind of get your hands on. We give you a 30-day trial to kind of sign up and take our iPaaS for a spin. So I want you to kind of leverage our Software AG Cloud, all the ecosystem and great documentation that we have there to try it out and see what we think. And then I'm always available to you as our product evolves. I want to make sure that we're evolving our services really close to your expectations. And if you have any questions around sort of roadmap, where we're going with our October release, how we think about our operational strategy, feel free to kind of reach out and I'll be kind of happy to answer your questions with all things iPaaS. So we have about 10 minutes left. I really appreciate your time. I'd like to kind of take these last 10 minutes to answer any questions that you might have with our demo today. And I'm pulling up those questions now. So if you have a minute, just go ahead and type that in the chat. And I'll get those addressed with the last 10 minutes. So this screen is quite tiny. I'm going to pop it out. Here we go. Okay, the first question is, do we have log levels based on the environment deployed? Can I choose the level of logging, kind of a global configuration? We will give you the option of logging specific business data. Right now we give you generalized logging on the success and failure of specific workflow executions. We're getting a lot of interesting requirements around potentially offering a search for logged business data. And we'd like to parameterize that to pick and choose what workflows will be capturing business specific information in those logs. So yes, we'd like to kind of make this configurable and searchable. There's another question here. How about accessing the cloud connection from on-premises? You can do this via our hybrid link, which I had mentioned before, or from on-premises, you can call our cloud APIs sort of directly. So if you have that gateway on top, you can just from on-premises call the APIs directly, or you can route via our hybrid link, which I discussed earlier in the presentation. Can I import cloud recipes into on-premises? That's a really great question. We had a first step into this with our integration cloud. We had this capability with our new Web Methods IO integration layer. I think we need to take a look at this again. this would be really a cool thing to take a lot of our SaaS connectivity recipes and make those accessible on premises. So we've just started this sort of feature set, and I think it'll be a little bit stronger with the October release. Do we have Kafka adapters? We use Kafka internally for logging. If you're interested in a specific adapter, just let us know, and we can kind of work with you on that. That's from a logging perspective. This use case, actually, let me explain this use case a little bit more. We've seen some requirements come through where people would like to take our logs and ingest it in a tool like Slack. So we're looking into some services where we can forward a lot of our monitoring logs, which is available in the UIs, to a third-party tool like Slack. And I think we'll be having that feature pretty soon. From a connectivity perspective, we do. Sorry about that. From a connectivity perspective, we don't have a Kafka adapter as an out-of-the-box connector. Okay, when we have Web Methods IO integration layer in the cloud, do we need another layer of IS on premises? Could they just talk to the DB directly or apps? I believe that is the case. We use the on-premises agent. A lot of times, these environments, our enterprise environments, are pretty locked down. So we use this integration server as a proxy or an agent on premises for a majority of our deployments. They could technically talk to those services directly, but we see a lot of operational challenges around security teams and making sure that those services are available to the internet. You'll have to remember that our Web Methods IO iPaaS is a software as a service, is a managed solution in our US-based data center. So we would have to work really closely to ensure that that connectivity is working really well. We find this out-of-the-box approach with the integration server on premises is a really quick way to get started. So that's used in a majority of our use cases, but I wouldn't say that connecting directly our SaaS tooling with your on-premises applications is out of the question. What type of adapters are available in the B2B component of our iPaaS? So John Wilson is our PM, and I think there'll be a nice presentation for B2B connectivity to give you a nice survey of what's there. We've really taken the best of breed with our training networks as we've moved it to our iPaaS. So there's a lot of nice connectivity options as a part of B2B, and we should have some more information on that in our coming release for B2B. Is there a way of masking the PII data that might kind of show up in some of the business logs or in transit? This is a really great requirement that I think we're gaining some more sophistication around. Let's take this one offline. We can talk a little bit about some of our encryption methods as we work with this data. So maybe we can connect after the call for ways that we handle PII. The SOFTWAREAG iPaaS solution work with other on-prem non-SAG integration tools. We tend to stick within our ecosystem. As we integrate this stack, we have a real pull to make our existing ecosystem of developers and customers really successful. So that's our first priority. I think you'll see with our iPaaS is with this October release, we're coming out with a number of public APIs, which will do everything from tenant management to configuring SSO to pulling out logs and a couple other services where you could then take these APIs and integrate with whatever tool you're most comfortable with using, particularly around CI/CD. So we have stage management coming at the end of August. And through these public APIs, you can promote packages across development, staging, and production environment really easily. So our objective is to sort of API all the things, which basically means that anything you can do via the API UI will be available via public APIs. And I think that's really going to enable tools outside of our ecosystem. Are you aware of any current plans to allow WebMethods.io connectivity to existing companies partnered with SoftWareAG for licensing, i.e. Fiserv? Current plans to allow WebMethods connectivity to existing companies partnered with SoftWareAG. Yeah, so we have a entire division dedicated solely on connectivity. So if there's any connectivity options that you'd like to see in our roadmap that are important to you or your customers, I'd like to encourage you to reach out to Suresh Ganta, who heads up our connectivity side of the house, and he can work with you on a roadmap to kind of understand what connectors we have out of the box kind of coming with next. Obviously, we want to leverage our existing partnerships to have access to specific SaaS or on-premises APIs, which we can then in turn build as a connector, which you can leverage really easily in your workflows. So, connectivity to us has a long sort of tail, and there's just so many applications to sort of connect with. But like I said, we'd like to leverage our existing internal partnerships. And if you'd like to see what kind of connectors we have coming out next, you can see that in our docs.webmethods.io. For kind of more information there, and just reach out to us from a product management perspective to get a nice feel for the roadmap. And if there's any kind of connectivity options, like I said, we have a lot of JavaScript development support in this platform. So we really want to give you the tools to quickly put together an operation, a transformation service, or a full-blown connector really easily. So. With that, I just really appreciate your time, spending time with me today on this demo. I hope our iPaaS was an exciting prospect for you. If you have specific questions or you have any challenges that is specific to you or your customer's sort of use case, feel free to reach out to me. We'll help you to navigate our iPaaS and which modules to use when, and to make sure that we really enable your enterprise architecture. So I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you for spending your afternoon hour with me on our iPaaS.
Great, thank you so much, Paul. I'd like to thank you for the great webinar presentation today. I would also like to thank today's sponsor, SoftWareAG, for providing the webinar today. And lastly, thank you to everyone who attended. We hope you learned something new that will help you in your developer career. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.